Welcome to the American Business Podcast. I'm Kevin Deveji, your host. I'm welcoming you, episode 99. We are so close to episode 100. That happens to be our goal for 2025. And today's number is 24.6 billion. The US public relations industry is valued $24.6 billion in 2025. Speaking of US PR industry, we have a great guest today, an expert, a leader in the industry, and we have a great conversation about public relation management as well as the public relations as in PR industry in US. Let's invite our guest to our virtual stage and let's get the conversation started. Hello, Steve. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. Great to be here.
Pleasure is all mine. How are you? How is your week going so far?
Good. Things are rolling along. Exciting times for us. So we're happy and getting to be very interesting as we approach the end of the year.
Yes, it's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm very excited to have you. I've been actually looking forward to this conversation. You are the rock star of PR industry, and it's a pleasure to have you on the American Business Podcast, the voice of American business. We have a lot to learn from you in the case of public relations management as well as the industry. If that's okay, let's get the conversation started. Would you please introduce yourself and your organization briefly to our audience and to our listeners?
Sure. Steve Turner, principal of Solomon Turner Public Relations in St. Louis. We've been around since 1990. So it's been over 3 decades of practicing PR here in town. I started in journalism at the University of Missouri's School of Journalism, graduated there. Originally got into sports announcing and news and thought that was going to be my career path. And I wanted to be a baseball announcer. So I did a lot of baseball games, football and basketball and things like that on a low level, and tried to ascend to the major leagues, got close, but wasn't able to get there. And I worked for an ad agency at one time and sold radio advertising and things like that. And so I always enjoyed the big idea. What can you do for a business that's really going to propel their brand out there? It's not just buying advertising on a radio station, but at the time there wasn't any internet, but there were billboards and, what could we do with different, with TV news, billboards, all these things as opposed to just radio. So I thought that was going to be my career path moving forward. And I moved back to St. Louis and started my own PR firm and then merged with my partner, Shelley Solomon, in 1990. And we also got married. So we're partners in many ways. And she ran an ad agency. I ran a PR firm, and it's worked out great. And, here we are 35 years later, still hacking away. And, never a dull day, never a dull moment. Things keep changing and we keep evolving, and it's always fun.
Absolutely. This is really inspiring. And I also learned that you have a book published recently. Congratulations with your book.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about your book a little bit?
Yeah, it's called PR That Works.
There it is. It looks beautiful. Yeah.
Great
cover.
You. Thank you. And what it is, it's a book that anyone can pick up and start learning how to put together winning PR campaigns. It can be difficult and hard to grasp the practice of public relations if you've never done it before. And even if you have, there's a lot of things you probably don't know. And we've learned a lot of these tactics and strategies over 30 years doing this through trial and error and hard work and hustle. And so the ball game keeps changing and we keep evolving with it. But the blocking and tackling, the foundational strategies you need to know remain the same, and they're all in the book. I have 28 strategies on PR to start with that anybody can grasp. They're short, digestible chapters. And then we get into actual campaigns that we've done over the years that anybody can model. So if you're stuck on an idea, it's like, well, I want to launch a campaign. Well, here's something similar in the book. You could just look in the book and say, oh, this is how they did it. This is what I want to do. And there's chapters on authors, a classic car dealer. We worked with Tony Robbins and Brian Tracy. There's stuff on that, all kinds of things. And they'll find that in the book. And finally, in the third section, we have interviews with 4 of the really high achieving people in the PR industry. So we went out and I knew several of them already. And they said, yeah, I'll be happy to do an interview for the book. And so we were able to secure 4 really great people. So it's not just me, it's those 4 people lending their expertise too, who are really at the top of the PR game. So they have great insight. And even if you're a veteran PR pro, I think there's value in this book. For college students who want to get into the industry, I think it's fantastic. And, if somebody's just considering getting into a career in PR, switching into it from journalism, maybe they've been a newspaper reporter, want to try something different because of the downsizing going on in that industry, there's something there for you too. So I think it covers a lot of bases. It's not a textbook. You don't have to spend $50 on a 500-page book. And it's not one of the scientific journals on behavioral economics or consumer behavior, which is a whole different ballgame. We don't get into that. That's not our cup of tea. If you want that, great. But this is for public relations, building your brand, working with stakeholders, covering crisis communications. All these things are focused on the book. This is what we do. And I was happy to share my knowledge over the 3 decades of my practice in the book.
Yeah, 3 decades is a long time, and you accumulated all these valuable insights, professional wisdom, as it is called. And I'm glad that it's also a practical book, not a textbook, so you can read it and then practice it. So among those 28 strategies that you mentioned that they are in the book, can you tell us some of them a little bit, if that's okay, on a very, very high level?
Sure. So we talk about how to organize a campaign. A lot of people don't know how to do that. The first thing you need to do is, we outline this in the book, is create an objective. What is it you're trying to accomplish? A lot of people just say, well, let's get some articles in the media and that'll really propel our business to the next level. And that's just not happening. You need to have a campaign plan with an actionable objective, with actionable strategy. And without that, you're just kind of throwing things into the wind, hoping some things stick and others may not. So you need a campaign strategy. That's point number 1. You need a measurable objective. What's the objective of doing this? Is it just to build a brand a little bit, or is it to sell stuff? Like, some people will say, well, we want to help the sales department sell 100,000 toy trucks. How are we going to do that? How is PR going to help in that process? Well, you could generate the kind of media coverage to get those things moving in line with the sales department. And then you have all these great tools from the media saying, you're great. It's not just us saying we're great, buy from us, but you have these printed pieces that say, oh, this was in the Wall Street Journal or whatever your targeted publication is, and say, look at this, trade journals, business journals, whatever. So you have a lot of great stuff that you could use, and then amplify that on social media. Use your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your TikTok, your Instagram, whatever it is, to really get the brand and the messaging out there. So the first thing is to create a campaign with objectives, and then you really need to narrow down on the messaging. What is it you're trying to tell people? Who are you? What are you trying to do? Who's your audience? All these things need to be thought through, and then figure out the tactics involved to get that message out there. Is it radio interviews? Is it events where you just show up, you speak, you do different things, you hand out flyers, you stand at a supermarket and you take surveys. I mean, there's all kinds of aspects of public relations not everybody's familiar with, but these are all parts of it. And so you need to decide what your goal is and what works best for you. So that's covered in the book. We talk about thought leadership. What does it take to be a thought leader? Everybody says, well, I want to be a thought leader. Yeah, I want to be on podcasts and radio, and I want to be on TV and all these things. Well, that's great, but how are you going to do that? Who are you? And so you need to develop a background for that, a foundation for that. Have you written a book? Like I have. I mean, that's a great place to start. If you haven't, do you have white papers? How are you known in your industry? What separates you from the core of other thought leaders in your industry? And then figure out how to capitalize on that. Yeah, you want to get on podcasts and do all these things. Are you able to talk to interviewers? Are you able to communicate effectively? All these things are important. And so a lot of people will say, well, you need to get media training. Well, what's that? Well, that means you need to sit down with somebody that's skilled in media, an interviewer, and learn the ropes so that you can communicate in short, crisp sentences and get your message across. And so if you do get an opportunity to do a TV interview, you're not hemming and hawing. Oh, well, yeah. Well, let me think. Yeah, that doesn't work. You've got a few seconds to make your point, and you better be ready, because those juicy nuggets don't come around that often. So very important that you're ready for it when those opportunities present themselves. So we talk all about media relations, how to get on the media, how to pitch media. All this stuff is in the book. So yeah,
That's
we
really,
cover
really
it from A to
exciting.
Z.
Is it available on Amazon that our audience and listeners can order?
Yeah, the paperback is available now at Amazon. It's good. We're getting some traction, hearing some good things from some different people. So that's cool. We're working on the Kindle edition, and then eventually we'll be on Audible. So we're
Nice.
going to hit it from all angles. And, make it available in different formats so, people can enjoy it at their leisure. They want to read it,
Absolutely.
great. I prefer personally the paperback, I'm old school.
Well,
But,
I like paper too. You feel it. You take notes on it. The old school style for me as well. I had the same style. I use Kindle too.
yeah,
But still, like having the book right in your hand, and then turning the pages and taking your notes, that still has I still enjoy it. It's a great experience.
yeah. I really enjoy taking notes right on the book.
There you
And
go.
so
Yes.
it's important. Yeah. So you see something, read, oh, that's great.
Yes. Yes.
Let me take that and put it into my business, or use it for my, here's the word I don't even know. And
Mhm.
sometimes I'll just circle that word and say, well, I'm going to add that into my arsenal and use it at some point. So all
Yes.
these things. And if you don't, it's hard to do that in a different format. But,
Mhm.
people like Audible. They listen to it in the car, and they can,
That is true.
work at home
During
and still listen, and I get that.
yes, yes,
And I get that.
and to your point, books like yours, you don't just read it once. You go back again, you read it again. Hey, what was it? Just refresh the mind. Like this is a guide in a way, right? So you take the notes, you mark it, you highlight it, and when you go back to the book, then you can still look at those points that you actually marked before, because you studied it before. So you can
Right.
still utilize your time and notes right there.
Yeah. So we have 14 case studies, and I would keep the book in, for years if you're really into this business, and you can keep going back and back and back to see, okay, how did they handle that situation? What did this author do to get famous? How did they promote seminars? How did they sell cars? I mean, it's all in the book. How did they sell reservations at a dog kennel? I mean, that's in the book. We worked with a kennel here in St. Louis. So it's all there. And I have a book of case studies from many years ago, and I still have it. And
Mm,
occasionally I'll return back to it and say, gee, how did they handle this? And the book's like 20 years old, but there it is. And so this is something you'll just hang on to. It's not like you're just going to take a book,
mhm.
thumb through it and throw it away. There's some value here for the long term. So,
Absolutely.
it's, if you keep the book 20 years, it's what, $1 a year? You can have to invest $1 a year.
Wow, that's the best
So
investment
yeah,
ever. Um,
that's right.
well, so my background is marketing. So right now I'm in business software industry, and marketing is just part of my business all the time. Just for our audience and listeners to learn from your insights, how would you define marketing versus public relations (PR) fundamentally?
Yeah, so marketing is to generate leads. I mean, that's what marketing does. You create your funnels, you figure out who the audience is and how you're going to funnel those people to your website or to the sales team. And then they pick it up from there. They buy the product online, or they solicit a phone call from the sales department for a meeting and somebody comes out to sell them something. So it's lead gen, basically, is what marketing is. PR is a long game. Think of it as a long tail to build relationships with stakeholders, customers, employees, whoever your audiences are. Does it impact marketing? Absolutely, but it's not designed to sell anything. So I've seen actually one person on TikTok that thought it was lead gen, and somebody asked me about it. I said, absolutely not. I mean, if you're using public relations because you think you're going to increase sales 20 or 50%, think again. Does it increase sales? Absolutely. I mean, we've had clients that were prospects saw an article in a magazine or an interview and called them and said, let's do business. This is impressive. I want to talk to you guys. So from that aspect, yes, but that's not what the overall design is. So it's not Facebook ads. It's not YouTube. You can do YouTube interviews, obviously, like this, but it's not designed to just, ring the cash register from, a spend. Facebook, you could buy ads, you know how much you're going to spend and what kind of return you're going to get. You could advertise in a newspaper and kind of figure that out over time and so forth. PR is not like that. There's different ways to measure public relations, but it builds trust with your company and credibility with your company. And those are two things that are really invaluable. And the other big difference is it builds brand value. A lot of people don't think about this. What's worth more, a company nobody ever heard of or a company that's well known? If I were going to buy a company and I was looking to invest in one, would you invest in Coke or Pepsi, or would you invest in Joe's Cola? Well, obviously, nobody's heard of Joe's Cola. This is just kind of a crazy example, but obviously, you're going to invest in Coke and Pepsi and you're going to buy the product. So their value is a lot higher than an unknown company. Now, can that unknown company get known? Absolutely. They'll never be at, and chances are they won't be at that level, but they can do public relations to build their brand, build awareness, and build value in the long run. And that's where the actual monetary value increases over time. So it's a long game. If you're not in it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, it's probably not going to give you the return on investment that you would really like, but it might. But if you're in there solidly for a year, doing the right things, working with a PR professional, whether you have somebody on the staff or you hire an agency or whatever that knows what they're doing, you can get great results and be real happy with the investment and what you get in return.
When you look at the PR industry in the US, what is the state of the industry and what type of challenges US PR industry has?
Yeah, so I think like everybody else, there are definitely challenges. We have a couple of different challenges right now. A lot of public relations is based on media relations and getting stories placed in the media, newspapers, radio, television, what have you. And so we have shrinking newsrooms, which creates a problem. In fact, that there are fewer journalists to talk to covering more ground than they have in the past. So you kind of have to break through that clutter to get your brand known, and how you work with these journalists is very important. And then you have media merging, where companies, there were two, now there's one. Newspapers are publishing less. A lot of them don't even do a print edition anymore. It's all digital. So you have all these things coming through that you have to face. And a lot of journalists are doing more than just reporting the news. They're doing a podcast. They're wearing like 6 hats. They may be writing for somebody else at the same time they're writing for their paper. There's so many freelancers now that are being employed because you don't have to pay benefits and all this kind of stuff that you would to full-time employees. And newspapers and media are using them to a greater degree than they ever have. So that's one challenge we have, is a shrinking newsroom and shrinking opportunities in some aspects to brand. The other thing is AI. Is everybody, the gorilla in the room? How do we deal with this? It's not that AI is going to replace good public relations people, but it certainly is going to do some of the tasks that we currently are doing, and it already is. But if you use it correctly, it will help you become more efficient. So I've been with different people that have been talking about this, and they said, well, if I can increase my efficiency 30%, that means I have another third of the day I can work on other tasks that are important, but I can get AI to cover the stuff that isn't so crucial. Maybe it's finding headlines for a news release and you're kind of stuck. So you load it into ChatGPT or whatever, spits out a bunch, you pick one out and you're ready to go. Maybe you tweak it ahead. Well, you save 2 or 3 hours of work, or writing a white paper. You can load up a bunch of stuff. It'll spit out something close. You still need to tweak it and modify it for your needs, but you get close to the final product. So everybody's trying to figure this out, how AI is going to work, how is it going to impact your business, how are you using it? And not necessarily in PR. I just read an article where some companies are saying, well, you need to be using AI or you're in trouble as an employee here, because we need to make this big shift to AI and it needs to be a big part of your job now. And if you're not using it, we need to have a conversation. So it is a big thing in PR right now. Everybody's trying to figure it out, and we'll eventually get there. It won't replace the creativity needed to put a campaign together and execute it and all these things. But I have seen where some journalists are complaining that a lot of these pitches for stories are starting to look alike. And I think that's because a lot of people are using ChatGPT and these other formats.
True.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So they've complained about that. It's like you can't let that be your pitch. I mean, you just can't load it into an AI thing and software and say, oh, this is good, I'm just sending this right out. Well, everybody does that, so no.
Everyone is the same database, fundamental. All these large AI engines that we are using on daily basis, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, they're pretty much using the same database. And eventually AI is a software, right? Yes, it's conversational. It's easier to communicate than before compared to standard software. But eventually it's feeding itself through the same database, right? Making the web search. So to your point, they are all having access to the same data set. Hence, the outcome is the same. To your point.
Yeah. One thing, though, I do want to mention, there was a study by the media software company Muckrack, and they wanted to see how search came through between Google and AI. Well, the key articles in newspapers and magazines and I guess television are showing up in AI search. So that's very important. People say, well, I'm using AI for search now. I'm not using anything else. Well, that's why it's important to get these top tier media placements, because the more you get, the higher you're going to rank in AI search. So AI can only search out what's already out there. It can't make up stuff. So if you're in the New York Times, you're on CNN, Fox, MSNBC, whatever it is, those things are going to show up in an AI search with your quotes, your article, whatever. And that's of high value. So people say, well, I'm just searching on AI. Well, here's the value of PR for that. And the study proves it that, I think it was 80% or something like that. If you get these media placements, will show up. And you get a higher rating even than Google, because AI will search these things out and put the good stuff at the top. So that's one benefit of it that we're already seeing in the industry.
Absolutely. And I actually tested it myself. I went to ChatGPT and I searched for the American Business Podcast. I was like, let's see what the ChatGPT has to say about the American Business Podcast. It was a pretty good outcome actually. I like it very much. So it was a nice test for me too.
There you go.
Well,
Awesome.
so speaking of PR, and you also mentioned about ROI. How to measure ROI for PR activities?
Yeah, so a couple things. You want to have an objective, as we mentioned earlier. So, what is it that we're trying to do? Let's say we want to help the sales department sell 100,000 toy trucks. Okay, so we start with articles, and we decide media relations is the key thing. So we start getting out there on radio and TV and in newspaper talking about our toy trucks. So after a month or two, we see that we can kind of figure out, well, over 6 months, our goal is to sell 100,000. Well, we could look, and at the end of the first month, if we've sold 15 or 20,000, this is working. If we've only sold 5,000, maybe something's wrong. So let's go back and assess where we're at. Is it the media that's the messaging that's off? Maybe we're not hitting the right consumer. Maybe it's the toy truck itself. Maybe the product isn't right. Do we need to tweak that? You could bring in a focus group or two and find out what their thoughts are. So we put that all together with an objective, and then find out as you go along, what are we getting? A lot of people will do a lot of different measurements, and there's tons of this. From a media standpoint, there's something we call share of voice. So if we do a branding campaign for your company, how much of the media time, how much of media articles are you getting as compared to the competition? If we're doing a lot of work on your behalf and you're only getting 10%, then something's wrong. We're not doing it right. But if you're 50%, okay, good. If you're 70 or 80%, great. And if you're the only one they're talking about, those are grand slams, those are home runs, which we all love to get. And that happens a lot of times, since some of these other guys don't have PR firms working for them, and you're just like dominating. You're dominant. They see you all the time in the media. It's like, wow, and I bet they're getting sales out of this and things like that. So that's one way of measuring it. You could do things like hits on a website after an article. Different, it's not lead gen, but things like that. Connections with stakeholders. From a political standpoint, can you sway a vote to go your way as opposed to a different way? PR is used a lot in politics, obviously. And so, to get a ballot, to get an initiative on a ballot takes a lot of work. It takes thought leadership. It takes people getting on radio and TV to talk about it. It takes newspaper articles. It takes a lot of footwork to get out there in front of the masses and talk and appear in public forums. And so you put all that together. Well, did it succeed or not? Did we get on that ballot or not? If you got on the ballot, great. If you didn't, then it didn't work. But you can adjust too as you go along and say, well, we need 100,000 signatures. We only have 20,000. What are we doing wrong? Or how can we build on that? So there are ways to measure all this stuff. It's in the book. A lot of that, is detailed. It's hard to get into all the weeds of all this stuff in a podcast, but measurement is key. And that's where you see the return on investment. If you know what you're doing, if you have a clear objective, and you take the actionable strategies to help you get to your goal, you'll be happy with the investment, and the return will be 5 times, 7, 8 times greater than the money you invested. So we're all about monetizing our effort for the return that you get on your investment.
I like
The
to
other,
shift out. Yes.
I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to make one other point.
Absolutely.
It's not sales, but if the PR brings in let's say you're paying 1,000, I'll just throw out some numbers. Let's say
Okay.
you're paying 1,000 a month for a PR campaign, which is low, but and through those articles, you bring in 5 clients, and each one is worth, let's say, $500 a year. So you received a payback of 25,000, 2,500 uh, for the first year. But then if those clients stick around for 5 years or 10 years, what is the real value? So
Mhm.
you have to kind of figure that out. I'm not doing the math right here, but
Mhm.
but as you can see what I'm trying to get to
Absolutely.
is,
It's the
yeah,
customer lifetime value. That's where it is
that's
going
it.
fundamentally.
Exactly. I mean, marketing guys know more about this than I do, but
Yes.
yeah, what is
Yeah.
the long-term value of this effort? Yeah, we did PR for a year. What did we get out of it? Well, the sales guys got 20 new clients at 10,000 a year. So there's 200,000 there. And then if those guys
Mhm.
are with us for 5 years, that's $1 million. And if they're with us for 10 years, it's more. So, and plus, you also have to figure out customer satisfaction, which marketing guys know. So if I'm happy after I use your company, what am I going to do? I'm going to spread the word. I'm going
Mhm.
to tell other people, my friends,
Yes.
colleagues, whatever, that need that
Word of mouth.
product. Exactly.
Mhm.
And that's huge. I mean, that can't be replicated. So I'm telling 20, 10 or 20 people how great you are, and that's attracting a lot more business from that initial set of PR work that we did. So how do you measure
Mhm.
all that? So it's all out there, and it's a possibility, but you got to take the first step, in creating the campaign with the right objectives and so forth.
Absolutely. Especially to your point, the word of mouth is the most precious marketing channel ever. It works the slowest, but it brings the highest ROI. That is for sure, and the most credible one. Because when I hear it from you about that brand, you are my colleague, you are my friend, you are my family member, you mention it to me, it's credible because I'm getting the information from someone that I know, word of mouth. Now it's more credible that I can trust the brand.
Yeah, well, think of this. I mean, now we have all these micro sites for neighborhoods and
Yes.
areas of town. So people will say, "Well, I need a guy who can fix my air conditioner."
Mm,
Well, they ask, and 20 people say, "Oh, you need to call this guy, you need to call that person." But if 10 people say the same guy, then he's going to be pretty good. So that's the guy you call. So it's got to be, in some cases, we need to communicate all this stuff on a micro level to really get the brand out there. But that positive vibe you get from some of these micro sites is really important too. I mean, if 10 people say this is the worst experience we've ever had, people are going to say, "Oh, I'm never going to call that guy." And they'll tell 10 of their friends, "Steer clear of this company. They're horrible." Well, you don't want
yes.
that. Then you've
That
got a
is
big,
true.
then you've got a big PR problem.
And
Then you really
especially
need us.
that is true, yes. and and to your point, just to support it, it even goes faster. I mean, bad news travels fast, but with the social media it's the fastest thing. So we actually, many years ago when I was studying marketing, it was like 20 years ago, right? We actually, like, no, it wasn't 20 years ago, it was like about 10 years ago, this marketing piece. So we actually simulated it. So something bad happens, a customer is not happy, the product fails or service fails, we simulated how much it'll take to spread the bad news through the social media. Everything happens in minutes, so quick, so quick. So we were actually, talking about these crisis management. So the customer complaint is a crisis management in that sense, especially in the social media. You gotta address it ASAP. You cannot wait because it's just spreading around. You gotta take action. So to your point, especially with the effect of social media, the bad news really goes really fast. So you have to really act, open as quick as possible in that sense. But the goal is not to have it at all, of course.
Yeah. So I talk in the book about some of these companies that didn't address their problems and they got tons of bad press. The worst one that I can think of, and I'm sure there's others, is the BP oil spill in the New Orleans Gulf region. I don't know if you
Mhm.
remember that.
I remember that. Yes,
Yeah. I mean, that was just
that was a
horrible.
disaster. Yes, yes.
Yeah, and I mean there were I hate to say this, but I mean there were wildlife that had oil on their backs washing
Mhm.
up out of the ocean. I mean this was just the worst visuals you could possibly
I still
imagine.
remember. Very hard to forget. To your point. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and if you remember the CEO, it took him forever, and he finally came there to look at the thing, and And they said, what do you think? He said, well, I just want to get my life back. And everybody's like, what? I'm losing my livelihood, and here all you care about is your cushy
Oh
life as the
man.
CEO of a major conglomerate. So you don't want to be that guy.
Hmm. Hmm.
So crisis is a whole different animal. But what you want to do as a company is have a crisis communications plan in place. It's too late. If something bad happens, it's like then you start scrambling. Where's my vice president? Where's my administrator? Where's my secretary? Where's everybody? What's going on here? Then it's too late. You need to have a plan in place. You need to be able to find a location in your business or somewhere close where you can actually set up a shop, so to speak, where you interact with people, employees, team members, and the media, so that and you only want one spokesperson. You don't want information coming from employees and all these people being interviewed on television and in the newspaper. You want one person, a skilled communicator that's going to talk to the media. And that's what you want. So you need to be prepared for all these things. But to your point is right. And I talk about this in the book where something happens in a business. It's not pleasant. And all of a sudden, an employee tells another employee, well, that employee posts something on Facebook or something on social media, and then other people start chiming in, and pretty soon you've got 10 people, 20 people, 50, 100 on social media talking about all these issues at this company. Well, what happens? Well, the media pays attention to social media these days. And so they're like, hey, do you hear about the problem in XYZ? What the heck's going on? And we better send a crew out there. Well, all of a sudden you've got a camera crew out there asking questions. What's going on here? Well, and if it's a bigger problem, it goes from the local level to the national level. All of a sudden, if it's a major deal, you've got ABC, CBS, NBC, whatever, Fox. All of a sudden, all these camera crews are showing up. You're like, what the heck is going on here? Well, you have to have something in place, and you really need to, know your P's and Q's when it comes to crisis communications. So, if you have a plan, that's a major first step. And then you have to figure out, number one, is it even a crisis? I put this in the book, Dealing with a Crisis. Is it even a crisis? I mean, if somebody mentions something in very small print in a newspaper on page 40, I mean, do you even want to react to that? No, probably not. Just let it go. You're just adding fuel to the fire. So kind of let that one slip. Now, if 10 people start complaining, then you do have an issue. And, if the media starts chiming in and, starts calling for a response, the first thing you usually want to do is send a letter out or an email and just say, we understand the problems. We know there's an issue. We've changed staff to accommodate our customers to make sure this doesn't happen again. And you see this all the time on television, the way people respond. And then and then it usually kind of goes away. We made sure this will never happen again, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Or, we're offering full refunds to our customers that were impacted, and we'll give them, a $10 bonus or, at our store, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure all the bases are covered. You really don't want to talk to the media unless it becomes a giant problem. I mean, things like, things that police departments deal with, if it gets to that level, I mean, that's a whole different story. Mm-hmm. Major fires, shooting. I mean, all kinds of things are different.
Yes.
Than your usual smaller scale issues that a business is going to face. But I would recommend definitely have a plan in place. Call a PR firm if you don't have one, or if you've got a marketing guy on staff, just say, hey, do we have a crisis communications plan in place in case something happens? And they say, no, well, let's build one. Let's get something together so we're protected. Everybody will feel better.
Absolutely. It's also risk management in a way.
Yeah.
So
the one thing I forgot to mention on this too, we work with an IT company here in St. Louis, and ransomware is always a problem.
Oh, wow. That is true.
Yeah. So that's a crisis. And it's not a physical crisis as much as it is a monetary crisis, because they'll, they'll come through and somebody will, well, for $100,000, we'll give you your website capabilities back. Otherwise you're going to be down until you pay. So this happens a lot, and a lot of these you don't hear about because they're settled. But sometimes they'll just keep going, and the media will eventually hear about it and get involved, and talk about it. All of a sudden, it becomes big news. So that's something you really need to keep an eye on too. I mean, we're not an IT company; we work with one, so I
Mhm.
know a lot of the ins and outs. But that's another crisis situation that you need to put into your plan. What happens if we're hacked? Our
Mhm.
computers go down, the staff can't work, uh, we're blocked, customers can't get to us. Really important for a medical office, obviously. Big time hospital. I mean, that's a major issue if a hospital gets hacked, and records, who knows where they end up, and all these kinds of things. So
Yes, God
yeah, you
forbid.
have to keep your eye on the ball with the crisis stuff. You absolutely do.
Mhm. In New York metro area, for example, one of the municipalities actually got hacked, so they couldn't serve public for almost a month. The entire system was down. So, I mean, that was a crisis, that's for sure. But then, how to address it? To your point, be prepared early on. Don't wait for the crisis. Just make plans early on.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to have, the plan in place, so okay, everybody out. We're going to set up over here, and you send people home if there's a internal business crisis. You don't want them around just hanging there to talk to the media or whatever. Just
Mhm.
send the non-essential folks home. Uh, the executives stay. You have a spokesperson, whether it's a CEO, president, whatever, and then you figure out your game plan from there. And very important to have all these things in place ahead of time.
These are great insights, Steve. Thank you very much. Well, so I like to shift our conversation towards a little bit of the career path of yours, and especially um, for us to learn from your insights. If there is one key career lesson that you learned the hard way, what would it be?
Well, I would say keep on learning. This is the most important thing. Never stop. I don't care how long you've been in the business, how old you are. If you're older than me, God bless you. But but never stop. I mean, I never stop. And it's so important. And it's so easy now to get information. Think about this. When I started, it was before the internet. Yes, I'm a dinosaur. I'm prehistoric. As the young kids would say, I'm ancient. We used to call old people that when I was in college. Now they call me that. Anyway, think about all this. We started before the internet. So how did you get information? Well, there was hardly anything in the PR world that you could subscribe to, buy maybe one book here, a textbook there, very little information. And you had to kind of do it as you went along through trial and error. Now it's so easy. I mean, you can get on YouTube and absorb all kinds of great videos. Here's how to run a successful business, or and you've got some of the top thought leaders in the world like Simon Sinek and all these people on YouTube give like a 20-minute seminar on something for free. I mean, you could just sit there in your living room and watch all these guys, and I love it. I mean, I do it all the time, and I actually learned marketing from my book, beside the PR stuff that I already knew. But there's some other funnels that I was thinking about, and then watching these people. They weren't book authors necessarily; they were marketing pros, and they were having all these schemes and strategies and all these things that they do. And I was like, well, I should be doing some of this. So I picked up on that through YouTube. And I mean, this is the most incredible thing. I mean, if you're not on YouTube watching these learning videos, I don't know. Go to industry
True.
webinars. A lot of times companies will pay you for a webinar with an expert. Do it. Work the extra hours. One of my colleagues who I interviewed in the book said the way he got really well known is he put in the extra time in technology to learn the ropes, and he was kind of the go-to IT person in the agency at the time. Well, everybody thought that was great. And so they made him, they promoted him and he put in the extra time and he kept growing. And now he's like a executive vice president and all this kind of stuff. So very important to keep learning. I would say, keep reading, keep learning. Every day there's something new. Now it's AI. And so, everybody wants to scramble to learn about that. But what other, in the PR industry, what other tactics, strategies are people doing and what's making them successful? Yeah, I've done a ton of research on book marketing. And, I have software that I bought, special software, and all this kind of stuff. And I pay attention to LinkedIn, and anytime somebody talks about it, I pay attention and read it. So I'm very up on that. And so, you just need to keep current. And if you're not keeping current, if you're not reading, if you're not studying, you're falling behind. And if you're in a business, if you're in a PR agency, in our case, you're not going to get promoted. The guy next to you is, because they are doing these things. So if you're not putting in the time, you're not going to get promoted. So that's the most important thing. Keep learning. If you have to spend money, big deal. I know it's tight for some people that aren't making a lot, but so you buy a book for $10, $15, whatever it is, great. Then read it, take what you can from it, then buy another one. I mean, how hard is that?
Yep.
Watch YouTube. It's you're already there. You might as well
they can keep watching this podcast channel.
That's right.
American Business Podcast.
That's right. They should watch this one specifically day in and day out for a year, and that by the end of it, they'll know PR very well. And your residuals will grow.
That's for sure. Thank you for the support. Well, so I know we are running out of time. I like to respect your time, and we truly appreciate it. These are great insights. And do you have any career advice for the next generation coming into the job market? Not right now. Next generation coming in, they are graduating, they are trying to get into market. Entry level jobs are less than before. That's a fact. And now they are talking about jobless graduates. So not that it was easy in the past, but it's more difficult, more challenging, more competitive nowadays. There is AI, and there are other elements affecting these trends nowadays. From this point of view, what is your career advice for the next generation?
Well, what I would say is you really have to get aggressive. Nobody's going to call you because you sent your resume out and you're waiting for a phone call. I just was at an American Marketing Association meeting, in fact, last week, and I ran into some people. I said, "Boy, that job market's just really tough right now," and I get that. And even people with many years of experience, they're having a tough time getting in. What I would recommend for the new generation is, you got to get an internship. That's number one. So you get some professional level expertise under your belt. People that are going to look at your resume after you graduate college. Well, what have you done? Well, if you just went to class, I mean, that's great. You got your degree and so forth. You have some skill set there. But what else have you done? Many of these colleges and universities now have their own little PR firms that you could work at and actually get real live experience. And I would definitely recommend you do that in your off hours. Work at a PR firm that the university provides, or anything you could find, or just knock on doors at PR firms in your city where your college is located and try to get in with those folks. Even if you don't get paid, empty waste cans, I don't care what it is, you just need to get in the door and start from there. And if you can do that, show some initiative, the people say, wow, she's doing everything she can to get in here. She must really want to do this. And those are the people that are going to get hired. If you're just sitting around, well, I'll just go to Starbucks and have some coffee and send out some resume. No, it's not going to work. You need to get an internship. You need to knock on doors. And then when you do graduate, if you don't have anything, you need to get aggressive. You need to go to meetings. It's not so much who you know as who people know that know you. So, hey, we need I'm looking for somebody to start with us in PR, let's say, or marketing or writing, whatever it is. Do you know anybody? Well, this girl comes to mind. Boy, she's been like at every meeting. She's there. She's bright. She's intelligent, really knows her stuff. We'll bring her in for an interview. One of the people that this is interesting that you brought this up. One of the people I interviewed in the book, Taryn Shear, who runs a fantastic small PR firm in Greenville, South Carolina. Ka-ching, I'll plug her. Anyway, she relates the story of what kind of unicorn works at her place. It's a small agency, so she needs that one special unicorn person. She said that some person really wanted to work there in the worst way, and she had 4 people call her before she was ever interviewed saying, oh, so-and-so's interested in working with your company. She'd be great. Then somebody else called and so there were 4 people that called before she even went in there. And then when she got there, she was like, wow, I mean, this person's incredible. This is what we need. We need an aggressive, bright, intelligent person to kind of pull the reins and run with it. So that's important. You just need to develop that skill. I would recommend, improving your speaking skills and your communication skills, even selling skills. I mean, can you take a course? Yeah, I mean, there's things like, I hate to say, I don't know what's offered at colleges and universities for that kind of stuff, other than the usual communications degree kind of stuff. But, is there a selling thing? You could join Toastmasters and learn to speak in front of a group of people to become a better communicator. Dale Carnegie is in a lot of markets where, even if you're the most timid people will be asked to get up. I mean, and I know it's scary. I know it's scary to get up and talk in front of people if you're a young kid and, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like a deer in the headlights. But you got to do it at some point and develop that skill where if you meet some guy by chance, you can communicate and tell him why you're a good person to work there. 20-year-old, 22-year-old, you're graduating. You by some chance you run into a CEO of a company that's like 55, 60 years old. What are you going to say? Well, I'm interested in working for your company. Okay, why? So you need to have a game plan. I do talk a little bit about networking in my book because that's kind of how we built our business. And in the old days, and it's still today to some degree, it's shoe leather. You go out, you pound on the doors, you meet people, you talk, and there's ways to network, and we don't have enough time, but that's kind of in the book too. What can I do for you as opposed to, hey, hire me, I'm great. So there's that, but there's also the social aspect of networking online, LinkedIn and Facebook and things like that. So how do you make a presence on those social sites where you can get people to call you? So there's, you write articles, you do different things. I mean, there's different kinds of strategies to get hired. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's get the internship and then just be super aggressive. If you could work at a PR firm that the university has or something that's part of the curriculum, absolutely go for it. Work hard, work the extra hours, put in the time, do the reading, watch the courses, take the webinars, and then, put on your best face and go out there and start knocking on doors. I mean, be the unicorn that everybody loves. That's the way to get in.
Absolutely. This is really exciting. Thank you so much for sharing your professional insights. And just to support your point, and I haven't read your book yet. I haven't had the pleasure yet. I'll make sure to get it. And first time that I understand that you mentioned that networking, I don't think that's common in PR books that I read before. So that's really exciting. And then to the point, in a way that so in the American Business Podcast, we share education, informative content. But we also wanted to take it a little further. We wanted to create a networking event that, hey, we put the word out, we share the educational content, which is great. Why don't we also help our listeners and viewers take action and meet with each other in a professional sense as a business networking event? That's why we put this event together. We organize monthly online networking event. So what we do is professionals come in, they introduce themselves, their profession, what they do. They meet with each other online. At the same time, it's live on the American Business Podcast. So we want to create something unique, because when we go to a network, which I'm an avid networker myself. So when we go to a room, we are in that room. That's just, we network, which is great, but then you are there. That's it. But when you are on this event, you are basically everywhere, right? Not only you are meeting with other business professionals, you are also in front of thousands of other viewers and listeners. So that's something that we created, and it's going very well so far. But to your point, anytime someone talks about networking, it really excites me, because I'm 100% for it. It's really a great
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
time to invest.
one of the things I learned from the late friend of mine, Jim Canada, who was also a client, but what a great guy he was. And he passed away, unfortunately. He ran an IT
Oh.
company here, but he had this go giver attitude. Bob Berg wrote this book called The Go Giver, and I would buy it. It's very interesting. It's how to network, but you're not
Mm.
really going there to sell yourself. You're going there to solve problems.
Mhm.
So if I'm going to a networking event, hi, I'm Steve Turner, oh, okay. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your company. What are you trying to do? How can I help you? And if you help enough people get what they want, they'll help you get what you want. The old Zig Ziglar line, if you've never heard of him, he's
Yes,
really an old time motivational speaker, but a great one. But
true.
that's really the name of the game. I mean, if I can help people get leads or introduce them to somebody that, oh, I needed a good accountant. Do you know anybody? I need a good lawyer. I need a good IT company. I need software development. Do you know anybody? If I can help them meet the right people to solve their problem, then eventually it'll all come back and they'll refer people to me. And that's happened, dozens of times over the years. So, I'm thankful for that. But networking is the best thing. I mean, if you really want to grow a business, grow a PR firm, any kind of agency or business, whether you do it in person, socially, through meetings like you have, where you can see 1,000 people and all these things, it's fantastic. You could join many groups that are, maybe it's, a business segment or a certain region. People join chambers of commerce to network, which is
Mhm.
fine. I mean, and there's value there, but maybe there's other things too in your region or in your hometown that are really valuable sources. And you kind of have to pick and choose. Some of the chambers are different. Some of the business organizations are different. You go to one, you go to two. Well, it wasn't so great. Well, okay, then go to the next one. Oh, this is really good. I met 5 people. So it's that kind of thing that you have to do, and I think it pays off. I mean, that's how we've succeeded for over 3 decades, and I think most people would attest to the fact that it works and works well.
Steve, before we end our conversation, which we should definitely do it again. Hopefully, we should do a part two together. Before we end this episode, for those who like to continue this conversation with you, to learn about your company, your products and services, to be in touch with you, what is the best way to get in touch with you and your company?
Sure, absolutely. So I would have them email me, sturner at solomonturner.com, SOLOMONTURNER.com. They can call me at 314-205-0800. And they could visit our website, which is solomonturner.com, SOLOMONTURNER.com. And you can also go to Amazon and surprise,
All
get the
right.
book.
Yes.
And there's
Yes.
information about us.
Brand
And
new.
on the
Yes.
back cover is my bio, and you can learn more about this guy.
Yes. Looks great.
Oh,
Looks
by the
great. Thank you.
way, I am full time into marketing of books.
Oh, nice. Oh,
And
wow.
I
Let
don't know
me
if
turn on
this is
my
coming
camera.
through. Anyway, this is our t shirts, and we will be offering these as well, PR That
Yeah,
Works
looks
t
great.
shirts. Yeah, and this will be coming. We're putting our website together, which is just about done, and this will
Mhm.
be offered, and we'll have the book and some other stuff. But yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to really getting our teeth sunk in on this deal. See
Absolutely,
where it
absolutely.
goes.
Yes, yes, definitely. I'm a published author myself. That's really exciting. And any way that I can help you promote your book, I'll be happy to help and support. Let me know the link if that's possible from Amazon. We can start with that,
Sure, thank
and
you. And
happy to
anything we can
happy to
do on
support.
our end for you too. Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. I'll be in touch. I truly appreciate your time. I really enjoy our conversation. I'm sure our audience, our listeners, they also enjoy it too because it's very informative and you shared your professional insights. We truly appreciate it. I truly appreciate it. And looking forward to having you again on the American Business Podcast.
All right. Thank you so much, Kevin. Appreciate
It's
it.
a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a great day. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
You too.
Well, to our audience and to our listeners, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It was very, very informative. Well, just like Steve said, you should watch some podcasts, you should watch some YouTube channels, something new to learn, right? That's a great opportunity. And the American Business Podcast is one of them that we always invite business leaders, experts, just like Steve today, we talk about PR. And our goal is to create these informative, these educational environment. That's very important. And to Steve's point, which I'm 100% agreeing with that, is continuous improvement forever. As professionals, we need to keep the open mind. We always need to learn something new because there is always something new to learn. Times are changing and we need to keep up with it. We need to stay on top of it. And meeting with other professionals, listening to them, learning from them is the best way. We can read books of professionals, we can have these conversations, and we are very excited and very motivated for these type of events. And as you know, this is our 99th episode in the American Business Podcast. We are almost at the 100th. That was our goal this year, which we almost reached. We are very excited. But in this sense, we truly appreciate your support. Without your help and support, your listening, your viewing, this wouldn't be happening. So we truly appreciate your support. If you haven't done so, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. That's our QR code on the screen. And join us. We stream every week, at least one episode. And right now we are booking for 2026. We are complete the book for the rest of the year. And right now we are booking experts and business leaders for 2026. The future is bright for the American Business Podcast. We have thousands of viewers and getting more. Thank you very much for your support. And please, if you haven't done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel. As you see on the screen, we have a QR code. And if you feel more generous, you can also share your thoughts, your comments in the chat box, and you can interact with us. Your feedback is very important. Your support is very important, and we truly appreciate it. The more you support us, the more content we can bring you every single week. If you like to advertise and sponsor in the American Business Podcast, you can send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. If you like to be a guest, you can also send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. If you have a nonprofit, we love to support nonprofits. We love to have you on the American Business Podcast and interview you. We welcome nonprofits. You can send us an email to be a guest speaker, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. And also, if you have any feedback, your thoughts, or any request you like us to cover a certain subject, you can also send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. If you visit our website, americanpodcast.tv, you can also see our coming schedule. Every week we post it there, our coming schedule, who will be our guests, what type of subjects we will be talking about. You can see and join us. The American Business Podcast is live first. 99% of our streaming is live. They are live. And also it's unfiltered. It is always informative. We keep it professional, friendly, and non-political. It's all about learning something new and informative. So you can learn more about us on the American Business Podcast.tv. Great. What else is happening? As discussed earlier, November 21st is coming. Online networking time. If you have a business, if you are a working professional, you have to be networking. If you're not networking, you're not in business. It's just that simple. That is why we created Connection America Business Alliance networking. organization powered by the American Business Podcast. We organize online monthly business networking events. And for the November, the next one is scheduled for November 21st at 10 a.m. Eastern Time Zone. It is online. You can connect from anywhere, but we have limited seating. So please scan this QR code and join us. Register. You will be able to introduce your company, your products, your services, your promotions, your campaigns. It is all commercial. Anything goes for you to introduce your company, products, and services. You are more than welcome to join us. You will be meeting with other business professionals during this event, and at the same time, because the event is streamed live on the American Business Podcast, you will be in front of thousands of American Business Podcast subscribers, viewers, and followers. So that's a great opportunity. That's a unique business networking event. If you're interested, today is the great day to sign up. It is because we're almost out. We're almost sold out. So you can scan this QR code and join us. That is scheduled for November 21st, 2025 at 10 a.m. And it is called Connection America Business Alliance monthly online networking event powered by the American Business Podcast. So I hope you can join us. We have a membership program we started last month. For you to learn more about the membership program, we have the QR code on the screen. You can scan it. We have different membership types that you can pick from. And you can be a member and you can support the American Business Podcast. Each membership comes with a set of benefits as a token of appreciation from us. When you scan the QR code on the screen, it'll take you to our membership page. You can see our membership types. Whichever you like, you are more than welcome to join us as a member, and we'll truly appreciate it. We need this help and support from you. We are creating this business community, and your membership is going to make a change, a difference. In that sense, I hope you can join us as a member. All right, let's talk about our sponsors. If you like to learn Excel and other Microsoft business software systems in a fun and engaging way, consider Ms. Excel. I have their QR code on the screen. When you scan this QR code, it'll take you to their website, and you can see their course catalog. Before you check out, make sure to use the discount code ABP 2025. It is coming from the American Business Podcast, and it'll give you a discount before you check out, and you can learn about Excel and other business software systems coming from Microsoft. If you are a company in healthcare, aerospace, nutraceutical, pharmaceutical, and other highly regulated industries, you need to take care of your data. Even if you need to recycle your laptop, computer, you need to destruct the data. That is why we like you to consider Puffish USA Sustainability Solutions. They are experts in data destruction. I had a chance to be in their facility. That's a safe environment, secure environment. They literally destruct your disks, laptop, and everything. They clean up everything. So it's a safe and secure way to recycle your electronics as an organization. Data will be wiped out. And they're also very passionate about environment. That's a great company, great people to work with. You love working with them. I have their QR code on the screen. When you scan the QR code, you can see the company information and you can get in touch with them. Make sure you tell them that you heard about them from the American Business Podcast, and I'm sure you'll love working with them. If you like to create your team bonding, if you like to build your team spirit, consider Spot Corp Events. That's another great company that we recommend. And they are experts in organizing, engaging employee events to build the team spirit. I have their QR code on the screen. When you scan the QR code, it'll take you to their website. And there is a code also that you can mention ABP from the American Business Podcast when you get in touch with them. That's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching the American Business Podcast. American Business Podcast is the voice of American business. I'm looking forward to having you in the next The American Business Podcast episodes. Thank you very much and have a great day.